Hey, all fans of Backup Blueshirts, Mike Sparacino here. Just before we get started with this episode of Backup Blueshirts, be sure to give us a follow on Twitter at Backup Blue Pod. It'll keep you updated on what we're doing, when we're going to post, and some tweets during the games and all that fun stuff. So, with that being said, let's get right into the episode. What is going on, everyone? Mike and Brendan back with another episode of Backup Blueshirts. And Brendan, this is episode number 11, and I think you know exactly who this episode is dedicated to.
Brian Boyle. I know you were thinking Mark Messier, but I'm saying Brian Boyle.
And that's the episode. Thanks for listening, everybody.
But
No, I'm
actually,
just kidding.
wait a second here. Wait, now that I think about it, Brian Boyle wore 22 with the Rangers, so that's actually inaccurate with me.
Brendan, you're just a mess
Stupid
today.
fucking
You're
rookie-
just a mess.
Rookie mistake.
Anyway, so, Brendan, it's the Stanley Cup Playoffs. What do you
That's right.
think?
Well, it's intense. We know that. We filled out brackets.
Oh, I did. I did.
I think we got pretty much. We're gonna go over them in a little bit, but we pretty much have pretty similar. I think we have a pretty similar finals bracket. I think we pretty similar for the most part, I would say. Especially coming from the eastern side, we actually pretty much have the same bracket.
Yeah, you
The
were
West,
you were disagreeing on games wise, but
yeah, it's pretty much games wise. No, yeah, in a couple of the series, but playoffs start tonight. Some
they're
good
going on right now
intense
as we speak.
games. Yeah,
Actually,
currently as we speak.
we would have got this
What-
episode out sooner, but schedules didn't link up.
Yeah, man. Since so far, absolutely insane. But
It's great.
also insanity before we even start talking about the playoffs. Rangers Draft Lottery last night, and I can't even believe that the Rangers actually got the second overall pick in the draft.
Dude, I was so pissed. I was at work. I literally I was like secretly checking my phone every 2 seconds just to see what the hell was going on because I couldn't actually be on the
Yeah.
phone.
I'm actually surprised that the Rangers moved down. I thought they were gonna get screwed. I thought they were gonna pick 10th.
You mean move
To
up?
be honest. Well, yeah, move up, I should say. I don't know why I'd say move down, but
Hey, dude, we got Winnipeg's luck when they picked Line. So
that's true. And dude, and speaking of luck, I mean, I thought we moved up. Dude,
Chicago,
Chicago moved from 14th to 3rd.
they moved up from 12 to 3. They moved up 9
So it's
spots.
9 spots. And then of course the Devils won, which just pisses me off because it's the Devils, but at the same time, they got the hard decision and having to choose between
Dude, Hughes and Kako, we pick second. We can't fuck up. It's as simple
That's
as
true.
that.
Exactly. So the Devils.
That's reasons for optimism right there, New York Rangers fans.
That's true.
All right.
And
well,
another
Oh.
cool thing I want to bring up about that. I don't know if you saw, but Gordon, they were interviewing him after, and he was saying that Stephen McDonald.
oh yeah, the lucky
he had
charm.
his badge on him. That was pretty awesome.
That was awesome. That
was
was.
sick.
Hey, and it ended up working.
That's right. And finally, for the first time in franchise goddamn history,
We have a top
Rangers
3
actually
pick.
gonna- Top 3 pick.
And it's a
which
top
is-
2 pick.
That's right.
All right.
So that's that on the Rangers end, minus the awful season. Well, I don't want to say awful, but
Some parts of it were awful,
some parts awful.
but we'll get more
Good
on
end.
that next week.
Good ending though.
Yeah.
I would say.
Yeah.
It's a pretty solid ending considering how many games went to overtime and
Oh,
all
yeah.
that, and that didn't affect the Rangers.
Oh, dude,
Draft
I saw a meme when you accidentally win too many overtime games
Oh,
and
yeah,
get
I
the
saw
second
that one.
overall pick or something like
it was,
that.
It was Quinn and Brian Leach laughing, right?
Hell yeah.
That's pretty funny. But yeah, man, you want to hop into this playoff brackets?
Let's do it. I just got one thing to say. We got the second overall pick, baby.
I know. It still hasn't sunk in yet. It won't sink in until the draft. Not even, actually.
Hey,
That's still...
I just want to say I tweeted that if the key to winning the lottery is me being at work, you're welcome. And we got
That's true.
second, so you're welcome.
Listen, and
You're
like I
welcome.
said, the offer's still up for anybody that wants to, pay for season tickets for Shades to go to all the games.
Hey, I went 6-1 last season.
Yeah, you were 6-1 on the season. It's not
6-1.
bad, kid.
And
But then
even though
also
the
at the same
Rangers,
time, I
even though the
wasn't even
Rangers
thinking
didn't make
about
the, oh, jeez, I gotta stop cutting you off.
I was gonna say I wasn't thinking about this until now, but if the Rangers didn't draft high, you could have been single-handedly to blame for that
Hey,
for that bad draft position.
Hey, I watched last year. We dropped from 8 to 9. I didn't watch this year. We went from 6 to 2. So
That's true. So
I'm
now you should
obviously a
just not
bad luck
watch
charm
any
in that
draft.
regard.
Yeah, don't watch any more drafts. Actually, as a matter of fact.
All right, well, let's move into the playoff matchups, man. Let's start in the West.
Yeah, I was gonna say we should start on the West because that's a little bit more like I don't want to say that the East is more straightforward, but the West is definitely more just
Strange.
to me.
Strange.
The thing that stands out about the West, like when I just look at all the teams, the first thing I look at is goaltending. I don't know if that's the first thing you look at, but
It was not actually.
I mean,
even though
like
that was
just in some of these matchups, like I just want to like bring up the first one. We'll start from
Colorado,
from what I'm
Calgary.
looking at. Colorado, well, I mean, Calgary finished first
in the West.
In the division. Yeah, well, actually in the whole West, right? They actually ended up being first overall, right?
Yep.
So the thing with me is that it's funny because they have great talent up top, obviously,
and on defense.
Yeah, and Giordano's pretty much, I don't want to say a lock, but it sounds like he's pretty much the favorite right now for the Norris.
He should be a lock for the Norris.
Johnny Hockey almost had 100 points.
They got Monahan. Kachuk had an insane season.
So for me, they don't seem to be lacking up there, but when it comes to the goaltending, like
it's questionable.
Smith and Riddick. It's kind of like I feel like it's questionable to the point where it's like you don't even know which one of those guys is going to be the for sure starter for game one.
I'm pretty sure it's
going to be Riddick.
I'm pretty sure it's Smith actually.
You think so?
I think they mentioned it.
I think he has like slightly better numbers Riddick than Smith.
Yeah, but it's Smith played very good down the stretch.
So that would make sense.
Or at least a lot better than Rittich.
And not that Colorado. I mean. Right now, is Varlamov not playing? Is he hurt?
I'm not 100% sure.
Because I know Grubauer was playing down the stretch, so I'm interested to see that in that regards. But I mean, hey, last year, listen, you could say whatever you want. I mean, Grubauer, even though he didn't play like super well in the beginning, but that was kind of like they needed him in the Capitals to step in.
Without Grubauer last season, the Capitals aren't in the playoffs last year.
Yeah, and even in this is like I feel like there's a couple series here that could almost like
go either way,
trickle down to the goaltending too. Like for me, like
there's a bunch of series,
and we agree in this one. I mean, in that game, now that we're talking about Calgary and Colorado, I mean, I agree with you. I think Calgary's gonna beat Colorado.
Hey, dude,
not to count Colorado out. I mean. Also, they might get Rantanen back.
I'm pretty sure he is gonna be back for game one, but who knows if he's gonna be 100% or not.
I mean, that's dangerous in itself, but just something about I can't see Calgary blowing it.
No, dude. With Colorado, outside of their top line, scoring's been an issue for most of the season, and I don't see them just waking
they don't
up.
Have enough depth scoring for sure.
Yeah,
that's definitely the biggest problem.
I just don't see their depth scoring waking up against a team like Calgary.
Yeah, and I'm gonna agree with you there. I think 5 games is reasonable for that.
Yeah, I put them in 5 games, by the way.
McKinnon himself can single-handedly win a game, so I would say I would give them at least 1 game in that series for sure.
Yeah, but other than that, Calgary's a better team from top to bottom.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it
really is as simple as that.
And then wild card obviously was Colorado.
Yeah.
And then the next matchup in that. We got San
Jose Vegas, dude. If you
go
from the start of this regular season to end of January, I was like, San Jose's coming out of the West.
Yeah.
Last week, no, San Jose's losing first round. Yeah, they played miserable down the stretch. Yeah, Jones and Dell, their game was nowhere to be found down the stretch.
See now when it's funny though, because and you know what, not for nothing, like. Vegas didn't play well down the stretch, but Vegas actually had a little bit of an excuse because I mean, Marc-Andre Fleury didn't play a lot of those games, and you saw Subban play, and not that Subban played awful, but they just weren't. They're not the same team with Subban than what they are with Fleury.
True.
And for me, it's like I agree with you too. You took Vegas in 7. I would take Vegas in that series, but at the same time, I can see it going either way here because, I mean, well, one, any series that you think is going to go 7 can go either way. But also,
Oh, yeah.
I think if Fleury isn't 100%, I think that's the difference, to be honest with you, in the series. I mean, from what we saw last year from him with Vegas, he pretty much won all those series for them. I mean, they could have easily lost to Winnipeg in the Western Conference Finals. I mean, they smoked them in 5 games, and Fleury played like a god. I mean,
Yes, he did.
you remember Scheifele had 15 goals at that point in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And he couldn't even buy a goal against Fleury. So that I mean, besides the fact that playoff run last year was like remarkably insane, but I agree with you here. This one's definitely going 7, and I'm taking Vegas.
Yeah, I just want to point out that I think San Jose has the better team overall, but
I think so.
I think the series is going to come down to goaltending.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with you there too. I think San Jose, in terms of depth forwards, they definitely have better forwards. I mean, in terms of defense, obviously, I mean,
Burns, Vlasic, and Carlson. I mean,
Yeah,
that alone is better than most NHL defenses.
and you had Pavelski coming pretty much on one of his high-end seasons as a player, and also guys like Hurdle, like those guys are all good.
Yeah, and another reason I picked Vegas is they've been a lot better on the road this season than they were at home,
Yeah.
which surprised the hell out of me.
Another thing to bring up with Vegas is that they I don't want to say dominated, but they won the season series. I believe it was 3-1, 4-1. They beat them in the season series, and a couple of those
And
games.
yeah, and we all know that
they
means
should not
absolutely nothing.
Yeah, and they smoked them in a couple of those games too. So should be. I mean, that's going to be one of my favorite series out of the West, to be honest with you.
Now, just to say this again, or if I even said it in the first place, the games are going on right now. This is the first night of the playoffs as we're recording. San Jose's up 3-1, but this has no effect on the outcome or our predictions.
Yeah, exactly. So all the playoff brackets and everything we are talking about is all done before. We just really didn't get a chance to record it beforehand, unfortunately. So
work
we're
screws
sticking with our
everything
guns.
up.
We haven't changed any of our picks.
No, and I'm not doing so until the rounds are over.
So,
but
yeah,
by that time, our brackets are gonna. Well, at least my bracket's gonna be screwed the hell up.
That's right. Yeah. So what's going on? We got 2 series so far.
Nashville, Dallas is up next.
So now this is where it gets to the part of the bracket where we kind of disagree a tad.
Just a tad. Just a tad.
So you got for this next matchup, which was
Dallas, Nashville.
Dallas, Nashville. You got Nashville.
I have Nashville.
6. So I
always guess on the number of games unless I'm absolutely sure.
You can most pretty much. I feel like that 6 is a good amount. I think in my case,
I honestly think 6 is always the safe bet.
Yeah, that's pretty much a safe bet. I think I actually took Dallas in this series.
See, this is one of those series
7.
where you can give a very good argument for both teams.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, for me, the biggest thing is I just feel like Nashville's play in the last little while there in the season was just wasn't convincing enough.
Yeah, San Jose also did not play well down the stretch.
Yeah, and another thing with Nashville too is, which I was actually surprised to really hear that the other day.
Yeah, and you just brought this up to me off podcast
recording,
whatever.
Nashville has the worst power play in the NHL. They finish worse, and just to think that somebody can actually finish
worse than the Rangers
on the power play that in itself is actually a scary thing.
Yes, it was.
But yeah, man. They had a lot of injuries this season though, Nashville too, and then they still managed to find themselves towards the top. Well, they did win the division, so
yeah, miraculously.
Yeah, I mean, and they still managed to win the division. I mean, with them, you obviously you're going to get solid goaltending and Pekka Rinne. So that's not in question for them. I just think that they need to get the power play together. I feel like if they don't get that power play together, it's going to cost them in the end. We've seen it from how many years with the Rangers in the playoffs not being able to score a power play goal.
Yeah.
It kills you.
Yes, it does.
And on also just to bring up Dallas too. Dallas got Zuccarello back, which is big for them.
And us, possibly.
Yeah, and exactly, and us. That's another reason why I actually wanted to take Dallas in this series too, just because why not?
Also, speaking of Zook, he scored the game-winning goal against Nashville tonight, and I'm pretty sure Nashville won. No, did I really just say that? Dallas, the Dallas Stars won the game tonight on a game-winning goal by Matt Zuccarello, and the final score was 3-2. So now that I got that big mix-up off my tongue, I am going to say that I picked Nashville in 6 because, frankly, I just like their team better. And Bishop got injured yet again this season, and I'm not putting 100% trust in him going into the series.
That was the thing I was going to bring up. Like, and it's funny because I feel like when I was looking over the Eastern Conference, I really didn't I didn't think about the goaltending as much. Like for the West, for some reason, I feel like the Western goaltending matchups, like not even that it's the matchup, it's just like maybe just because of injuries and mostly because of injuries actually, because there's so many goalies that were injured. Except when we preview the next series, because that's more of just a toss-up because you're not really sure. Like, there's just not much experience there. But with Bishop, that's always been his problem. I mean, with Tampa Bay, yeah, exactly. So I can see how the series can easily skew to Nashville. Because I mean, if he goes down, I don't know, that's going to be tough. But on another thing is that Dallas also has really good defense, so that's something to keep in mind. I mean, Dallas has some pretty high-end forwards as well.
They do, but when I compare the two rosters, I see the depth, both offensively and defensively, in Nashville's 100%. Favor. Yeah, and I also give Nashville the slight goaltending advantage.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you there. I mean, in terms of team, Nashville definitely has better all around. I agree with you there. I just think that this might be a series of a team that Nashville's good, but I don't know, man. Like Dallas might just actually come in. They came in a little bit hotter, and they might steal the series. I don't know. That's kind of how I feel about the next series too, dude.
Hey, honestly, I wouldn't. St. Louis, man. Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing Dallas move on. I really wouldn't.
I mean, listen, from a Rangers standpoint, I mean, I'm going for them only strictly because I want the Rangers to get that first round pick.
Now,
and also with Zuccarello.
Yeah, that too. But with that being said, I'd rather have Dallas lose in the first round than lose in the second round if they don't make the conference final, because the draft pick is literally going to be... Actually, wow, I'm an idiot. I just realized second round draft picks, the order doesn't... Well, not that I just realized that, but the order doesn't matter. It goes based on regular season points.
Oh, wow.
All right, well, I gave myself false hope there. So let's move on to Winnipeg St. Louis, and I think this series is going to be an absolute war.
Yeah, this one's intense for me too. I mean, this is another one of those series where I look at it from the standpoint of just Winnipeg being absolutely awful at the end of the season. I mean, just terrible. Laine couldn't score. Minus tonight, he actually buried one, first goal of the game. But just, I mean, going into it, I mean, he went on some bad streaks of not scoring goals.
Terrible streaks.
And I mean, that's kind of scary for Winnipeg. I don't know, man. Like, and just the play of Binnington from St. Louis all season long. I mean, you're talking about a team that was literally last in the NHL
on January 2nd, and they literally were within 2 points of claiming the division title.
Pure insanity.
Ridiculous.
And
the Central, by the way.
When you look at their roster, I mean, on paper they really have a good team.
St. Louis, absolutely.
Funny. It was funny that they didn't really start playing better early, but then again, when you look at their roster, I mean, I feel like that's been their problem for a while, though.
You have to factor in the coaching also. Mike Yeo was the coach at the start of the season. They moved on to Craig Berube.
Yeah.
And after a little bit of a slow start, after they brought Bennington up, they took off.
Yeah. I mean, I think that was like I don't want to say Bennington's like the missing piece, but he was the guy that they
the spark.
needed to yeah, exactly. But then again, I feel like they never really got that like solid goaltending from anybody. I mean, Jake Allen.
Brian Elliott had like 2 good years in the playoffs. That was about it.
Yeah, but
if it was even
then,
2.
You know, like they're not like superstar level-esque goalies,
No,
you know what I mean?
They are literally that team where minus a franchise goalie away from the cup.
Yeah, exactly.
Man, I really do not like. I'm so tired from work, and I'm just so fed up from work. I can't say anything right now. If they had a franchise goalie, they would have a cup already easily.
Definitely. I mean, but I feel like, listen, St. Louis has they have a good roster, but I think this is another series when you match up, like, you know, depth scoring and forwards and defense. I think, I don't know. I mean, to me, I think Winnipeg has a better team. I honestly, this might be a matter of,
I think this is a lot closer.
Might just be a matter of St. Louis coming in hot at the end of the season. And I think tonight's game was important. St. Louis, I believe, let me see. They were up in the game. Let me check at this point.
The Blues won 2-1.
2-1. And the reason I was bringing that up is because I was actually going to say I feel like this first game, and a couple of the analysts on NHL Network brought this up, and I thought this was a good point. They were saying that this first game for Bennington is important because I feel like if he got lit up in that game, might change the whole series. But now, gives up 1 goal in the first game. That might be a pretty big swing in momentum, And Winnipeg still has the home ice advantage. So they ended up getting that home ice advantage, and to lose that first game, a little bit killer. I mean,
yeah, no, absolutely. The only reason I went with Winnipeg is because of what they did last year. And I'm honestly, I am regretting. I'm honestly regretting this pick a little bit before the game even was played tonight, just because.
Listen, but to your point though, you bring up a good point. I mean, I don't know. I mean, the series can change at any point. I mean, the next game they can come out and smoke them. I mean, they have that type of offense that can score that type of goals. I mean,
yeah,
Scheifele, Wheeler, all those guys are filthy. They have really good power play.
Although I honestly do think that Winnipeg was stronger last year.
Think so? Even with the addition of like Hayes, and you don't think that made a difference for them?
No, because the only reason because last year Winnipeg literally just came out of nowhere as a powerhouse.
Yeah.
And this year, like, everyone kind of knew what they were, and they didn't finish with as many points as last year. So.
Yeah, and I think that's just because they just played so shitty down the stretch of the season.
Yeah, that
whereas
could have
last year it was actually I feel like it could have been the opposite. Whereas then they played better, and then they just I don't know, man. This one for me, I mean, this could go either way. I feel like when I looked at it at first, I wanted to take Winnipeg, and then I started hearing more stuff, and I was like, you know what, like screw it. I'll just take St. Louis just because why not? And this is another thing that's actually a really interesting point to bring up. This goes for the whole playoffs, but also, well, actually, I know from the Western standpoint that the only series to actually already happen once before is the Sharks and Vegas. None of these teams have played each other before. So that's actually a really interesting point to bring up. So you don't know, man. I mean, certain teams just match up better against other teams in the playoffs. The
other reason I picked Winnipeg is last time I was confident in a rookie goalie, I was pretty much dead wrong. So I went with the established goaltender/team this time.
Listen, I mean, in a 2-1 game too. I mean, that's either way. That could have gone either way.
Exactly.
So I like the picks. I think I would take St. Louis in 7.
And I got Winnipeg in 7.
I think if they win that, it's going to be a 7.
Hey, dude, I'm ready for that series if I'm home from work, which I fucking better be.
You
Want to
got
move
any
on?
other comments you think about the West or? Well,
Yes,
actually, yeah.
actually, I got one last one.
Do you want to break down the entire bracket, or do you want to just do the first round?
No. First round. First round.
Okay. First round it is
We'll.
then.
I'll say at the end what my final bracket is, and I'm gonna say this now, and I'll say it again later. I can't wait to be wrong.
Yeah, it never goes how you plan it
Oh,
ever.
never. So one final comment on the West for me. Notice how San Jose, Nashville, Winnipeg, three teams that were considered Stanley Cup contenders at the beginning of the season, did not play well down the stretch. That's a theme in the West.
Yeah.
And Calgary, Colorado, it was pretty much kind of the complete opposite.
No.
So,
Yeah,
hey,
and you'll see,
playoffs, man.
and exactly, and we'll see how that plays out.
Do you have any final comment on the West, or do you want to move on to the East?
I don't know, man. I actually kind of like I'm more intrigued by the West matchups for some reason. Just because
I
I
can
feel
see
like it's
why.
such a and I feel like it's just such a mystery because like you don't know how these teams are going to match up against each other. And listen, even though San Jose and Vegas have played each other, that was one series, dude. Like that's not enough. Like
No, it's
you're
not.
not talking about like Rangers Caps where you guys played each other like 18 times in a row every single playoffs. Like it's like you don't really know like what you're gonna get in these series. And I think that's like more. I think it makes it a little bit more interesting.
Oh, absolutely, it does. Absolutely.
And also like like not for nothing, but I just want to see like I would love to see a team like Dallas or St. Louis like make it all the way to the Western Conference Final again. Like
Dude, I'm going to say this right now. In my honest opinion, the winner of the St. Louis Winnipeg series is going to at least the conference final.
yeah. I
At
mean,
least.
listen, and I don't know if you feel this way, but I feel like it's the same way on the East, but I feel like just some of the brackets, man, like I just feel like I don't want to say it's like uneven, but I feel like one side of the bracket is kind of like, I don't know, man. Like, well, actually, I feel like that way in the East. I don't want to say it's like that in the West because I feel like it's pretty balanced. Because I feel like you get a pretty powerhouse matchup out of that, Nash, Dallas, Winnipeg, St. Louis. I don't know. Yeah, I would say it's about even in the West. I mean, like when we move on to the East, I'll bring my point around, but like for me, I just feel like I don't want to say that I will when we talk about Washington, I feel like Washington got out of the first round matchups, I would say Washington probably got the most lucky of a matchup. Not to say that, obviously that series hasn't started yet,
Yeah, I
but
can see where you're coming from.
listen, like even in Tampa Bay situation, we might as well just start off the East talks with Tampa because I mean that's
the first one I was going to bring up.
Obviously that's probably the first one on the bracket itself, right?
See.
Yeah. I mean, Tampa Bay, listen, I mean, you finished first President's Trophy, and then you get to play.
Season.
What's your reward? Oh yeah, you get to play Columbus in the first round. Like Columbus is no washover team, dude. Like
no. Dude, if the point system wasn't messed up, Columbus would have been, I think, second or third. But instead, they got second wild card.
Yeah, I mean, that in itself was, and listen, they struggled to get in at the end. I mean, dude, if the Rangers would have beat them in that game, who knows what would have happened, dude?
Yeah, seriously.
They won that shootout, I mean, and that clinched it for them, but they had a tight running to get in. But they're a team, man. Like, they got a lot of firepower, man. Like, they got a lot of guys that can play, dude.
Oh,
like,
absolutely.
They're a dangerous matchup against Tampa. I mean, listen, I still take Tampa
in
5 or 6. I think I took them in 6 in the bracket. Tampa in 6.
On my official bracket, I clicked 5.
Yeah, I did.
And that's
Tampa in 6.
That's looking like a mistake now.
Nah, but listen. I mean, Tampa. Well, Mike's referencing that Tampa went up 3-0 in the first game, lost 4-3, and
I just have to say,
third periods goal.
Tampa looked absolutely terrible on 2 of those goals.
Yeah, I mean, listen.
I only saw 3 of them.
This is one thing, and this proves to be the case for Columbus, and they seem to they're never out of the game. I feel like that's always been their identity as a team under Torts. They go hard, they skate hard. But and you know what I noticed, dude? It's like, and this is a trait of obviously a lot of playoff teams, but I feel like it's a lot of their like fourth line type of guys or third line guys that are most dangerous. I mean, Anderson, that guy is good, man. He's actually a really good player. I mean, he made a play tonight that was like awesome, dude. Shorthanded, comes in, he cuts across, dices up Hedman like he made him look bad, and then just snipes at top left corner.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, that was not good defense. I mean,
No.
But listen, it's game one, whole series left. So I mean, if you're Tampa, you're disappointed you lost that game. But I mean, as a fan watching, I'm still going with Tampa. You know, like.
And I also have to point out Boston killed Tampa in game one in the second round last year, and then Tampa steamrolled them.
Yeah, steamrolled them. I feel like Tampa needed like an eye-opening like that. That to me is just a lesson for Tampa. Don't let up at all. Don't let up on this team because you can't, because they'll come back. Like they respond well to John Tortorella shitting on them in between periods.
As funny as it may sound, it's true.
I mean, they do though, and they also they have dangerous talent up front. You know, like is Duchesne going to be the difference maker for them? Not really sure, but listen, all I know is Panarin is a beast.
Yeah.
Seth Jones is a beast. They have a good defense. Like they listen, this is like a better matchup, I feel like, than a lot of people think for Tampa Bay. And listen, and
well, didn't the Devils take Tampa Bay to 6 games last year?
I think it was 5.
I think it was 5.
Yeah,
I don't remember offhand.
No, actually, as a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure they got swept.
No, I don't think so.
Oh,
I don't think so.
Yeah, I wish I would have looked it up before, but I wasn't thinking about it. But dude, I just feel like, and this is another thing too. I mean, what a big question mark with Columbus is obviously Bobrovsky.
Wait, hold on one second.
Bad goals again.
Hold on one second. Your big question mark is Bobrovsky.
Bobrovsky, yeah. I mean, he's a question mark because his goals against in the playoffs is terrible. He's given up at least 3 goals, which the trend continued.
Yeah, the only reason I put Tampa in 5 is because of Bobrovsky's terrible playoff track record.
Yeah, but listen, this is the thing with Bobrovsky. I feel like he's a very streaky goalie. He'll play terrible, and then
he'll go on an absolute tear.
Like a god for like 3 games, you know, and he can be the guy, man. Like I think a lot of people were saying like, oh, you know, like I'd rather have seen Montreal match up against Tampa because of price, but I don't know, man. Like I feel like, especially tonight, after the first period, the first period looked like he never played a game of hockey before in his life, dude. I mean, Pierre brought it up. Dude, he did not save a single puck in the warm-ups, dude. Like off the slap shot drill. Dude, he looked like he couldn't even like move his legs, dude. He looked so nervous. And that's why I think Tampa jumped out to that lead. I mean, he gave us some bad rebounds. Like it was bad. Like he did not play well at all. But then, you know what? He came out in the second and the third and he made some unreal saves. So, we'll see where that series goes, but I'm still going with Tampa.
Yeah,
sticking to the guns.
Yeah, I'm going to still stick with Tampa in 5 unless Columbus takes a second game, obviously. Then I'm going to be crying that my bracket's already wrong.
Yeah,
which it's going to be in 2 weeks anyway, but, you know.
And I agree with you on this.
Pre-crying.
It's hard not to pick Tampa after that series, after that season. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Well, let's move on to the next matchup in this
Boston-Toronto.
Boston-Toronto, man.
I am just going to say this right now. I have Boston in 6.
Yeah, that's intense. I'm going Boston, but I'm going Boston in 7.
I respect it, and I like it.
Because they beat him in 7 last year. But other than that, I just feel like it's going to be an intense series, man. And you know, like, and I was thinking about this. I'm like, it's hard for me to really, with Boston, part of me saying pick Boston, but then I think about Boston for a second. I'm like, you know, like, I feel like they get a lot of their production strictly from
Their top line.
Bergeron, Pastrnak, and Marchand, which isn't bad. But
Here's
I
the
feel
here's the thing.
like
That insane stretch that they went on with the points, I'm pretty sure Pastrnak was injured that entire time.
that's a good point. He was injured for a good little while.
And I just saw something the other day, like during that they promoted Krejci up the lineup, and that pretty much resurrected his season because he wasn't having a good season up to that point.
Yeah.
So they have plenty of depth, both offensively and defensively. The question becomes goaltending.
Yeah, but actually, in their case, they actually kind of have an interesting case. I feel like they have two goalies that have played solid all season, and I feel like they can almost bounce off those two guys and not have to worry as much because they did play pretty well, Halak and Rask. So they have an interesting perspective there. I mean, for Toronto, it's like obviously if Anderson goes down for some reason, I mean they're screwed.
Yeah. Also, I'm actually giving Boston the advantage in goaltending as well because they're like towards the end of the season, like a lot of people are saying, even Toronto fans are saying, Anderson, like he doesn't look in top form, and he even admitted it. So I'm just like, all right, yeah, no, I'm going Boston in 6.
Yeah, I mean, and especially, I think the biggest difference, I mean, the biggest reason why I take Boston in this series is because the Toronto defense just has so many question marks to it.
Dude, I've been calling out their defense all season. It's been horrible. And another theme that not a lot of people know about, Toronto does not start games on time. They really do not. And you can't afford to do that in a series in the playoffs, especially one against Boston.
Yeah, because Boston's going to come right out of the gate. All those guys are going to come play. Marchand especially. I mean, you can expect, but this is the thing. I think that if Toronto does win this series, I feel like it's going to be because they shut down that line. If they can shut down Bergeron and Marchand and Pastrnak and those guys, they got a good chance.
And also Anderson needs to be outstanding.
Yeah. I mean, I think the only non-question mark about Toronto is obviously their offense because they got some pretty intense firepower. And another thing I could see from Toronto's standpoint is if they're able to control the puck in the zone, it takes a little bit of pressure off the defense. So I think that's one thing they're going to try to do. I mean, it's kind of like a generic thing to say, but I feel like that's something that they can do with that talent that they have.
Yeah. No, that's their bread and butter.
Yeah. I mean, you're talking about Johnson. I mean, in terms of centers, just
Tavares.
They might have
Matthews.
Some of the best centers.
Kadri.
Yeah. They got a good offense, man. So it's
really
going to be a good matchup.
They just do not have a good defense.
No, they don't. But see how that translates. I feel like, I don't really like Boston, so it actually kind of pisses me off that I took them in the series.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just trying to think about it from like a hockey standpoint.
And I'm also factoring in the last 2 times that these teams played each other in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Third period collapses in Game 7 by Toronto.
Yeah. I mean, you're going to laugh because when it gets to the Pittsburgh Islanders series, I mean, I literally...
Oh, we're still 2 series away from that, buddy.
Oh, yeah, I know. You're going to laugh at that, though, when I give you my reasoning.
Oh, boy.
For why I chose who I chose in there. But, yeah, I mean, I agree with you in this one. Definitely, I'm going Boston. I'm going 7 games.
And I'm going 6. So, do you want to move on to Washington, Carolina?
Yeah, man. And this is, funny enough, this is one that we actually agree on still. I actually I took less games than you on this one.
Really?
I say sweep. Washington sweep.
Okay. All right.
I think so. I think they're going to sweep them. I mean, when I look at the East as a whole, just for me, it's going to be hard to imagine it not being a Tampa Bay, Washington Eastern Conference final.
I have a hard time seeing any other thing too.
I mean, just Washington, to me, if there's going to be a team that's going to flat out just wipe out Tampa Bay, Washington seems like they're going to be the team that could do that. I mean,
especially considering last year.
they have like I honestly don't hate their team. I hate Tom Wilson, but that's a whole other story.
Yeah, no,
But
two different stories.
I mean, you're talking about they got a pretty complete team. The only thing with them is that Kempney got hurt. Not sure how much of an effect that's going to have on their defense.
Yeah, that's the only
But
reason I didn't pick them to go to the final. In all seriousness,
but but it's also
spoiler.
a good point that you brought up with Carolina is that they do have a good defense. That's actually
No,
something
very
that's a good
good.
point.
It overall young defensive core. Mrazek's on a hot streak right now, which I think he in himself is going to steal one game at
Yeah.
least.
I mean, for me, like I think ultimately my decision comes down to a couple of things. One, Ovechkin's just an absolute machine.
Yes.
50 goals again. I mean,
51. I think.
he doesn't slow it down in the playoffs. You know that's the case. And
No, he
first of
doesn't.
all, you put Washington on the power play, you can almost guarantee that's going to be a goal. Their power play is filthy. I mean, that's probably going to be their strongest thing the entire playoffs. It was last year. That was a big reason why they won the cup. To me, I mean, Holtby is just an animal when he's on his game.
Oh, absolutely. Dude, Holtby last year literally went from the backup at the start of the playoffs to
Yeah.
holy crap, he looks like a completely different person, and holy crap, we just won the cup with him.
Yeah.
No, he
definitely
literally went
elevates
off.
his game for sure. But
He went
to
off.
me, I mean, I just can't see. But it's a good point to bring up with Carolina that I could see them. I could see where you're coming from picking them winning a game because they do also. You have to consider since we've been talking about teams that have been coming in hot, they did play well down the stretch. Because if they didn't play well down the stretch, they weren't going to make the playoffs.
Also, Mrazek, too, played very good down the stretch.
That's true. He did.
Not as good as Bobrovsky, but pretty good.
Yeah, for me, I feel like, we were saying, like, I think this is a matchup where I think Washington kind of lucked out in a way that they're playing Carolina first. But I could be wrong on that because Carolina could give them a better series than they think.
Dude, honestly, I have them in 6 games, but I think this is going to be a very, very tight, hard-fought 6 games because look at the last 2 times that Carolina was in the playoffs. 2009, Eastern Conference Final. 2006, they won the Stanley Cup. So when they're in, they make it count.
That's true. That's a good point. I didn't look at it that way. I kind of
You can thank your boy Kevin Weeks on that one.
That's true. That does sound like something Kevin Weeks would say. I should have known. No,
I shook that man's hand. He is a god.
Like I kind of looked at this one from just a pure like powerhouse standpoint, and I just said fuck it, dude. Washington in 4.
Oh no, if you look at on paper, Washington destroys them offensively.
Yeah, I mean, just Backstrom, Ovi, Wilson. I mean,
although defensively, I do give the edge to Carolina on paper.
Oh yeah,
on paper.
I definitely think so for sure.
But we all know how much or how little that means come playoff time. So
yeah, for me, I think Washington's the type of team where they probably start games off the best out of any other team. I mean, we saw last year the way that they started some of those playoff games. They must have had like 75 hits in the first like 2 minutes of the game. It was insane. So if they start the game like that, who knows where that series is going to go.
Hey, dude, Carolina just needs to stay disciplined, and they will give themselves a chance because Washington's power play is deadly.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. That's the difference maker. Washington power play. So I'm going with the sweep.
All right.
But I respect your pick though. I see where you're coming from.
Hey, I have a feeling like Sebastian Aho is going to steal a game by himself also. Just that's a gut feeling I have. I have no reason behind it, no like logical explanation. It's a gut feeling.
Listen, that's kind of like my gut feeling for Washington on the sweep. I don't know. I just got a feeling like they're just going to start off good. But
all right, that's about all we have for that matchup.
And they start tomorrow, so I'm actually looking forward to watching that.
No, I think that's going to be an underrated series. In all honesty.
No, I agree with you. I think it can be very underrated. Wouldn't know it's not going to be an underrated series because it's going to be fucking nuts. fucking Islanders Pittsburgh.
And
Dude.
here we go.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie with you, dude. I hate both of these teams so much.
I
So
despise both of these teams. So I think my hatred trumps your hatred.
I don't know which team I hate more in this situation here. And
I look at it this
fair.
way. The Islanders have less players that I hate.
Exactly. So that's kind of where
That's
in
about
this
as far
one,
as I'm going with that.
I could be silly, but I actually took Islanders in 7, and only because, dude, like I don't know, man. Like as much as I hate the Islanders, I actually really enjoy the style that they play.
Because
They
of Trotz, right?
they're very like, yeah, because of Trotz, but also because like they seem very closely knit as a team. They play very like team-oriented hockey. Everybody skates, everybody hits. I just feel like they play solid enough to the point where they can grind out wins against Pittsburgh.
Okay, good point.
I think that's if they win this series, it's going to be just pure grinding against Pittsburgh. I don't think they match up in terms of skill with them.
No, I think skill goes in Pittsburgh's favor.
Yeah, I mean with Crosby and Malkin and Kessel,
Gensel,
and listen, Pittsburgh also made some good moves at the deadline, kind of.
Bukestad. Well, even though that was before the deadline.
And also, who's the other guy that they have one other person that they got at the deadline?
Do not remember offhand.
McCann, that's who I'm thinking of. And he's been playing good for them, too. And, obviously, unfortunately, we didn't get this episode out before the game started, but Islanders won the first game in OT 4-3.
I just loved that the Islanders scored like 30 seconds in, and the goal got called back for offside.
Yeah, I mean, and also Islanders have a home advantage, and I think that especially if the series goes 7, I don't think the Islanders are going to lose Game 7 at home, dude, at the Coliseum. I mean, I can't see it.
I'm going to be completely honest with you. This is the one series that I completely guessed on. The other 7, or at least 6 of the other remaining 7, I was confident, and the other one where it could go either way was St. Louis, Winnipeg.
I always felt like it was, I mean, you could say this for any series, but I feel like for this one in particular, I feel like it was either going to be Pittsburgh was just going to wipe the floor with them, or the Islanders were going to give them a good game every single time. And I don't know, man. Like I don't want to say they match up well, but I just think that's the Islanders style play that they have now under Trotz. And listen, if there's a guy that figured out how to beat Pittsburgh in the playoffs, it's Trotz. So maybe that continues over.
Another reason I picked Pittsburgh, I compared this year's Islanders team to last year's Capitals team, and last year's Capitals team trumped this year's Islanders team by a pretty wide margin.
Yeah, definitely. I just think...
Oh, wait, just to Islanders fans real quick. I think the last 3 years, each round I had Pittsburgh losing. They ended up winning. No. Each round I had them winning. I don't even remember. Let's just say that I thought I picked Pittsburgh. They ended up winning. If I didn't pick them, they ended up losing when I did pick them. So Islanders fans, you're welcome.
Yeah, dude. I think that's going to play into it. Like, I feel like the Islanders are not going to lose these games at home in this series.
Hey, dude, whenever I pick Pittsburgh, the opposite happens. So I picked them to win. Islanders fans, you're welcome.
I feel like this series means a lot for the Islanders fans. Like, they haven't had home advantage in the playoffs for a long time. And also specifically this series, because this is the only one that's going to get played in Nassau, which is just a complete bullshit.
That's another story.
That's just fucked up. I'm not even an Islanders fan. That pisses me off. But, I mean, yeah, I don't know. I mean, and I'm just so sick of Pittsburgh that I'm literally just I would have picked any team over them in this first round. I fucking hate them so much.
Yeah, I also picked Pittsburgh because Islanders' offense kind of dried up pretty badly second half of the season.
That's true.
So,
But they
and
also
Pittsburgh was starting to play better down the stretch.
yeah, that's true. But also probably their best thing all year Islanders was their defense and their goaltending.
Miraculously.
So
Even though Trotz, he came in and like worked wonders, but compared to
yeah.
last year, like
But
miraculous.
I think this is another one. I'm going in terms of the length, like 7. If it goes 7, it could always go either way. Just because you have home doesn't mean shit.
Exactly. Home
But
ice advantage does not exist.
but
It's all mental.
but we'll see. But I like that we disagreed on some of these actually.
Yeah, for once we
Makes
actually disagree on some things.
Makes it more, yeah, makes it definitely. I mean, in terms of, we'll talk about each week. We'll get further into the second round matchups and stuff. But
Oh yeah.
yeah,
I-
I mean, I don't think the Islanders are gonna go further than this round, but we'll see. They make it past this round. I don't see them going any further than the second round. I mean,
I don't see either team in this series going past the second round.
And it's funny that I think we have different outcomes about the West, but in terms of the East, we're pretty much on the money for who comes out in the end and who makes it to the Western Conference and Eastern Conference.
All right. Well, that's all the first round matchups in a nutshell. So
Yeah.
just to, make fun of myself by saying how my bracket's going to be completely wrong. In my bracket, I have Vegas over Calgary. So we all know I'm going to be wrong there. And I got Winnipeg over Nashville, but as I said, I think winner of St. Louis Winnipeg is going to the conference final at least. So, again, can't wait to be wrong. Second round, Tampa Boston. Just set this one in stone already, for the love of God. And then I got Capitals Penguins for the third year. Third year? No, fourth year. Yeah, fourth year in a row. Right? Or am I going nuts?
No, I think you're right.
Okay.
Oh, did you break down your entire bracket all the way to the end?
Yeah, except I'm just saying what it is.
Okay, got you. Didn't
Yeah, and
break
then
down games.
I got Tampa, Washington in the
That's
Eastern
what I
Conference
got for
Final.
Yep, that's what I have. The only difference we have there is I got Caps Isles, only because I just want to see that series also.
Yeah,
Just
and
shots go. I mean,
the
that would be kinda
stories would
cool.
write itself. Story would
I
write
mean, that
itself.
would be cool. And I think that if Tampa plays Boston or Toronto, I think they're going to win either one of those series. So I definitely can see a Eastern Conference Tampa Capitals for sure.
All right,
Just
so,
because
yeah.
that just seems like what a matchup that would be again.
Oh, absolutely, would love it. And I think it'll be closer this year.
And what do you think for the West? I don't know if you talked about it, but well, I mean, I have your bracket up right now.
You know how I said I can't wait to be wrong?
Yeah, the West is.
I can't wait to be wrong because I have Vegas coming out.
Yeah. Hey, listen. Listen. After last year, man, anything's possible, man. It's like this is so up in the air, man. Like,
it's like, dude, I literally don't trust. I literally do not trust anybody on the West. Like, I don't trust any team to come out and win the whole thing. So
yeah, it's so up in the air.
Yeah, so on my bracket, it's Vegas, Winnipeg. I got Vegas coming out, facing Tampa, and Tampa winning. So
That'd be pretty awesome.
can't wait to be wrong. I should make that a
then,
song.
Yeah, no. Maybe you'll win the bracket challenge.
Yeah,
Psych.
me winning when it comes to anything money involved doesn't happen.
So do you think you're gonna win the bracket challenge and we're going to Vegas? Or wherever the NHL awards is.
Hey, I would love to go to Vegas. Just come back, just be bankrupt from gambling all of my money at the casino.
Gambling all your money on the Rangers.
Just like, they're going to pick Kako. And then the Devils pick Kako, and I'll just be like, fuck! I lost everything!
But, man.
Hey, dude, playoff hockey, anything can happen. This is best time of the year. I'm going to be
Hell
glued
yeah.
to my TV for the next
We
just
wanna
under 2
also
months
bring
if
up-
I'm not at work.
We
So
definitely want to wrap up the Rangers season, but we're going to save that for
save it for next week. That way we have something to talk about.
minus and plus all the playoff matchups. But we always try to bring something at you from a Rangers perspective. You know,
I mean,
those
technically we
Rangers
did it
season-
today, so
That's true. That's what I'm
we
saying.
did technically do it today. So
That's what I'm saying. We talked about the Rangers from in the beginning. We'll always
Give-
try to bring them up a little bit.
give me Kako or give me death.
All right, man.
Well,
It's 1:01.
1:02 a.m. on at least on my
gotta-
computer.
I gotta get up. I gotta go to Montreal.
Yeah, kid's
for a
going to
hockey tour-
Montreal. Hope he enjoys, man.
Yeah, it's gonna be sick, man. Playing a hockey tournament, charity hockey tournament. Should be fun.
Damn. Well, dude, it's ice hockey?
It's ice hockey, dude.
Oh, dude, ice hockey's the fucking best, even though
I'll
I
take
suck
some-
at it.
I'll take some pictures. I'll
Post
it'll
them on
be
Twitter
fun.
if you want me to.
send you them.
All right. I should post something on Twitter, just so people know, oh, these guys are actual people. Okay.
It's not just a robot with the
It's not
Rangers
just a
Twitter
robot.
account.
We record podcasts.
All right, kid.
All right, well, I'm Mike Sparacino, a.k.a. Shades. You've been listening to me alongside my co-host, Brendan Mulroy, a.k.a. Mulgoon.
AKA the Big Goon.
There it is. And this has been episode number 11 of Backup Blue Shirts, dedicated to the captain, Mark Messier. Stay tuned because next week we will give our recaps, reflections on the Rangers season, as well as some other news.
And
Some
first
serious
round
stuff.
playoffs.
Yeah, some serious stuff, some fun stuff, as always. And in the meantime, if you're not glued to your TV for the Stanley Cup Playoffs,
You might as well
You're
just
a
not even be living.
no, you're a despicable human being. So if you're not watching playoffs, you're a despicable human being, and you don't deserve to be our friend. So that's all I have to say about that. Any last words?
I'm out.
So
Going
am
to
I.
sleep.
Have fun in Montreal.
Good.
Talk to everyone next week.
Peace.
Peace.